Soulful means something that's heartfelt, deep and profound. To journey means to travel from one place to another. This show is about deep and heartfelt discussions about where we are, where we're headed, and where we've been. It's a place where we highlight memorable moments we've had. This show is about everything and everyone that is good for the soul.
Welcome to another edition, another episode of Soulful Journey. I am your host, Venus Jones, and it's time to take at least 1 minute to relax with our breath because you are a spiritual being having a human experience. So take that deep breath with me. So we're going to take one deep breath, at least one, and relax. Feel yourself breathing in and feel yourself breathing out without trying to control your pattern of breathing. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Notice how each breath is different from the next. It's the same with life. Ever changing, ever evolving. Whatever is going through your mind right now, you can let it slip away. Just for this moment, we can come back to harmony because you are safe. You are accepted. You are forgiven. And you are loved. Well, it's Kwanzaa time, Baragani. And if you are a newcomer to Kwanzaa, you should know that a Baragani just means what's up in Swahili. What's the news? And today is December 29th, and the news is all day, Ujamaa. And Ujamaa just means cooperative economics or economic cooperation, as my guest likes to call it. Phetote is my guest. He's an amazing artivist, activist, and artivist, publisher, and poet, etc. from Tulsa, Oklahoma. But before I begin, I always like to do something that reminds me of the guest that I am having on today. And so when I say a Baragani, you say Ujamaa or Ujamaa, and it just means cooperative economics. And he is also another practitioner of Kwanzaa, like myself. He is also living in a place that is such a symbol of cooperative economics, and I cannot wait to tell you more. But I like to begin by letting those of you who watch the show who don't know that I am a Kwanzaa queen. I have an app that's been downloaded in 98 countries, and it's been having a life of its own. It began with this project, Kwanzaa 7 Days, 7 Principles, in 2009. If you don't know, you can download the app, and it gives you notifications every day. And today, hopefully, those of you know about it. But I'm going to read from this app, which is a free app you can get on your iPhone or for your iPad. And it's the word Kwanzaa. So giving thanks to Stepheness, my husband and I, we created it together. And today I'm going to read the affirmation for that beautiful universal principle we call cooperative economics. My family expresses a profound sense of gratitude. We live abundant lives with no use for greed. We're aware of those who have the least, and we own the resources to provide if we feel the need. We are people who offer our favorite charity a portion of our gifts and or our sacred time. We save, we share, and we spend wisely, securing the next generation in line. When we respect the power of love, we attract others who respect the power of love too. People know that taking care of business and taking care of people is what we choose to do. We are survivors and money magnets, examples of greatness and financial success. We are happy with our working budgets that allow us to splurge and invest. We welcome more resources, and our extended family is in the money and the know. We are networking with ethical and professional people, and our money continues to grow. We are supporting those who are we-centered and those who have proven true. We are also profiting together with shops and businesses maintained by people of a darker hue. We are promoting the opening of new grocery stores, galleries, banks, and firms when we can. We are researching grants and business opportunities with a promising young woman or man. We are welcoming unseen wealth, inheritance, and legacy, and we're releasing all the dead. We're working together, locally, internationally, and the harshest needs are met. Ujamaa is cooperative economics. And Kwanzaa, this is the fourth day. We will weigh this principle carefully and give grace. Ashe. Ashe. So let me introduce, without any further ado, Phetote Mshairi. He is the owner of New Green World LLC, a publishing company specializing in poetry, art, publications in the Tulsa Greenwood District. He is the Tulsa Artist Fellowship Fellow, a Greenwood Art Project artist who is publishing and editing Release Me, the Spirits of Greenwood Speak anthology, which I am a part of. Yay! And he is an author, writer, songwriter. Man, he graduated from Langston University with a BA degree. So much. I'll let him tell you more. Without any further ado, Phetote, what's up? Abaragani.
Hello. Ujamaa.
Yes, Ujamaa. All day. Ujamaa. So Abaragani. And I just want to give you the floor to just share something, introduce yourself, and then we'll talk a little bit more about all these projects you got going on, and really talk about what's really good in the Greenwood. Okay.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to take this soulful journey with you today. I really appreciate you. And I was checking out I'm Phetote Mshairi, for those who don't know me. And Venus, I was checking out the Kwanzaa playlist that you just showed, and it is so informative. It is so soothing. It is so right in the moment for each day. I really appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And I forgot to say that I'm doing an affirmation party, a 7-day challenge on Instagram right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so you gotta follow me at Venus Love Jones, whoever's watching, and we're having a party. I'm inviting you to Phetote. So if you can come, and I want you to write at least one affirmation based off of the Musaba or one of the principles, and we'll celebrate it with you, because it's better than New Year's resolutions. So that's my plan, and to help our community with accountability and responsibility, right? So that we'll be accountable partners for each other. So if you can join me on 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on New Year's Day. But I really like to give people the floor right now, so you can share whatever you want, like a poem. I can step back, or do you want me to stay on screen? It's up to you.
You can stay on screen. You can stay on screen. That's fine.
Okay, so I'll let you just
give your reaction.
I know that they need. I know some people know you as a poet, so if you want to share something right now as a poet, there's a poem that really speaks to who you are and what you're about.
Okay. I
Or is
will.
you?
Thank you. This piece is a piece that I wrote for myself as that other voice that's in my head as a poet. It comes out. It's audible. I don't just leave it in my head. It comes out. And no matter where I am, no matter where you are, no matter where you go, no matter where I go, I'm still there. And sometimes your family and friends will be there for you. You know, sometimes they can't be there for you. You know, all the time, God is there. But God is also there in you, through you, giving you the power, giving you the instructions that's built in you to get through whatever you're going through. So I was going through something at the time. And then I had to give myself a pep talk. And the pep talk was, don't let you down. No matter what disappointment you have from anyone else, you can't let you down. So I started singing this to myself. I won't let me down. 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 I won't let me down in the dumpster dwell amongst the busted busters who accepted failure as an option. It is so preposterous how popular copping out becomes when hard times come, but I won't succumb. If success is at the end of the finish line, I won't crawl or walk to get mine. I'm gonna run. No sleep for me. Don't sleep on fee. No snooze button, cause snoozers lose while go-getters get theirs. I can get mine without yearning for yours behind envious stares. I won't allow me to slumber in the slums like a bum while complacency plunders my dreams. Me and procrastination don't relate, so I have to stay awake to fulfill my dreams. It
Come
seems
on.
that you can only see my gleam glowing when my eyes are open, so my two physical peepers keep peeping while my third eye searches for more openings. By faith, I'll make it happen because that's the substance of my hoping. I won't let me down. I've been destined for greatness ever since I erupted from my daddy and swam through the fallopians, and even then I wouldn't let me drown. I'm success bound. I won't even diddle in the middle with the mediocre jokers who are satisfied with being a paycheck or two away from being broken. I refuse to peruse Loserville with the losers who choose not to fulfill their purpose because they're too concerned about what they look like on the surface. Trying to be fine is the least of my worries, man. My mind is on my incline because my vision is blurred by vanity. And trying to keep up with the Chins, Lopez's, and Joneses and cause too much financial calamities to the family. Losing while looking good doing it ain't a good look for me. There's too much regret there. Too much divorce there. Too many inherited bad habits and children going off course there. Must it be rare that people are treated fair and actually care about the fellow man's welfare and health care? We won't even go there. I'd rather live healthy than hedonistic. It is so sadistic to abuse the gift of physical fitness that God gave us just because it feels good. Old me will reap the benefits of young me doing what I should. So I'm going to eliminate my vices one by one till there are none. I'm going to live long and healthy to see my son's sons have sons. I won't let them down. I won't go broke and be broken-hearted behind a smoking hottie who's fabulous face and body, but the characters are bitter. It ain't tricking if you got it, but it is tricking if you gotta give her gifts to get with her. And I realize that the devil doesn't come in the form of pitchforks and horns. It entices the eyes with bling bling and so on. So I won't do the devil's devious deeds to satisfy my carnal needs anymore. Since I'm made in my God's image, when you see me, imagine me as love in the physical form, adorned in wings high above the clouds, living out loud and making my mama proud. This I vow. I
Yes.
won't let me down.
Never.
I won't let
Don't
me
let me
down.
down.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's my theme song.
Snap and shake all day. Thank
Thank
you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I love that piece. It's so good for the soul. And what a great introduction to who you are and who you strive to be. All of us can relate to that. Those of us who seek to live a life of excellence,
Right.
of something beyond mediocrity. So giving thanks to your mama because she taught you well.
My mom. It's my mama was the first poet I knew. Yeah.
Oh man, I was watching another one of your videos, and I saw it was I can't remember the title of it, but it was because we both share the love for trying to decrease the violence, especially sometimes the violence that begins in the home, with that we call domestic violence. And there's a piece that I don't remember the name of it, but you do.
Yeah, it's that's fella, can you tell me?
Fella, can you tell me? The way it was edited, and you can hear your mom on there, and so I get to hear your mom speaking while you're doing this piece.
Right.
And it's like two different narratives going on. So shout out to the editor who did that piece for you and helped you create such a beautiful work. I was like, wow. And then just to hear your mom says, yeah, he read and he lead. I could tell, like you said, she was your first the first poet you knew. I could see that in the way she spoke.
Like poetry.
Love that. So shout out to your mom, for real, for real.
So,
But yes, you are a member and mentor of the 100 Black Men of Tulsa. You do poetry workshops, occasionally participate in Artists in the Schools program.
right.
And you have this Release Me project coming up.
Yes.
Tell me more about this Release Me project, because even though I'm a part of it, it seems like something amazing that's coming up to commemorate an amazing historical event in America's history that ties to what we are going to talk about a little bit today, which is the word reconciliation. But first, I want you to tell the people a little bit more about how you came into becoming the owner and founder of New Greenwood LLC, a little bit more about this project, and then we'll get into some soul chat questions per usual. So go ahead, tell me more.
Okay. Well, first of all, I started New Greenwood LLC because I needed a place to publish. I needed a place to publish my work. And rather than have someone else publish or wait for someone else to publish or to petition or beg someone else to publish my book, I figured, why not publish my own book? Why not start my own publishing company? Why not publish other people who may need to be published or would like to be published? So New Greenwood LLC came out of that. And New Greenwood, the name itself, came from, of course, Greenwood, which is more commonly known in other places as Black Wall Street here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the spirit that built Greenwood, that built Black Wall Street, can be taken anywhere. So that's what inspired the name New Greenwood. It's a new Greenwood, and that it's going to be universal. It's going to be global. It's going to break. It will have no boundaries. There won't be bounds or boundaries or city limits or lines that shouldn't be crossed or can't be crossed in New Greenwood. And the Release Me, the Spirits of Greenwood Speak, is let me give a brief history for those who don't know on Greenwood. Greenwood was started in 1906 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A son of former slaves, O.W. Gurley, got his land run on. During the land run, he came to Oklahoma. First, he went to Perry, Oklahoma, and then in 1906 he came here to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he got roughly 40 acres of land, and he called it Greenwood. And Greenwood was named after I believe, a city in Mississippi, named after another place that he had been before. And at the time, there was segregation, and blacks couldn't live anywhere else. So Greenwood was created for Black people, for African Americans, or however we would like to categorize, us. Anyway, he built Greenwood, and different people came from different places, right? And the principles and the way this ties in so beautifully is the principles of Kwanzaa are the principles it took to build Greenwood. All unity, cooperation, economic cooperation, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, faith,
all of those created Greenwood. Yes,
created Greenwood
before 1966.
Right. Which tells me that those principles are timeless.
Yeah.
Those principles can be taken and used anywhere. Kwanzaa is just not a time for people to light a few candles and hang out with the family and speak with the ancestors. Those are great. But it's also a time to teach and to learn those principles so we can learn to be better people. And that's part of that is, self-determination. Part of self-determination is taking those principles and utilizing those principles. Part of the principles today are Ujama. Part of those principles are everyone takes their collective talents, their skills, their money, and we use it. And we use it to build. Use it to build for each other. And then if we use it and circulate and build, before we know it, a community comes up. And the
Yeah.
community of Greenwood came up based on those 7 pillars. Now, there was more, of course, education, and you have to have gumption, you have to have strength, you have to be bold, of course. But those, you can find those 7 principles and pillars that are in Kwanzaa, you can find those in creating Greenwood and
Yes.
creating really any successful community,
Yeah.
around any successful life, a successful family, a successful relationship. You take those same principles and utilize them in your life. Don't just let Kwanzaa end at the end of the year. No, remember those principles. Keep those principles in your heart, on your mind, in your actions, in your reactions, and I'm telling you, your life will change. Anyway,
Yes. Okay, you preaching now. Kwanzaa 365. I'm all about that. I'm about Kwanzaa 365. It is a lifestyle. It is why I have produced so much.
mm-hmm,
People say, "Well, man, she just keep going, going on." But it's because I feel the energy of
right,
my guides, my ancestors, my God, all of
right,
that, and that is the Sankofa way. Is like I reach back, right, to move forward, right,
mm-hmm,
and that is why I can produce as much. That's why we say I won't let me down, and it's tied
right,
to that philosophy of
mm-hmm,
knowing all of those that we live on principle or we strive to, even though we
right,
fall sometimes, right? So I
right,
give thanks for you and just to know that
right,
you did decide to not wait for someone else to save you, but we can save ourselves as
right,
publishers, poets, and that's beautiful. I just want to
right.
know, did you start your publishing company last year, or how old is it?
But it's my baby. She's new.
She's new,
It's
so
new.
we
Yeah,
give
yeah.
thanks, Mike. Yes, and I'm here. And I'm so happy to be able to put publisher next to poet, etc. Because it's one more of your many titles, but it is in the spirit of New Greenwood and giving thanks for that. So I'm hearing you loud and clear. As for this Release Me project, I know that it will be probably coming out because it's 100 years
Right.
of since the bombing of Black Wall Street, which is Tulsa, Oklahoma, a very sad day that some people still don't know about or they're just still learning about in
Mm-hmm.
America.
1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Mm-hmm.
Again, it happened on May 31st, 1921.
Yes.
And this is a place where you grew up. You literally grew up in Tulsa.
Yes.
You were born there?
Born and raised in Tulsa. I've lived in other places before, but I was born and raised in Tulsa.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how is it really being what is it like being in a place that is celebrating something so huge like this? I even saw that President Trump was there doing something for some kind of commemoration.
You wasn't there for that.
I'm just saying, I saw it. I saw it.
You know
And
the wild thing, Venus.
tell me more, because I couldn't wait to ask you about this. Go
The,
ahead.
the wild thing.
It's some kind of museum that I thought he signed. He act like he was trying to take credit for that's happening in your neighborhood.
Did he?
Uh,
Did he? Well, he had what he did. He had his pep rally, right? The day after Juneteenth. He had literally the day after Juneteenth, and some of us, we went to we did a Black Lives Matter rally as opposed to the Trump rally. And the wild thing is for the most part, it was relatively peaceful.
okay.
There was no drama until until things got out of hand. And I'm going to deviate a little bit. There was this young lady, I don't know her name, but she reinvigorated my faith and reinvigorated my faith in youngsters. Because she was about, I would say, about 5'1", and she was young. When I say young, she was early 20s young. That's young to me, at least.
Yeah.
She had her bullhorn out. She was leading chants. And
Okay.
she was surrounded. They had surrounded her in
Okay.
red flags and red MAGA hats, and she was still, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. I'm like, I see you, sister. I said, and we went down. We had to go down there because they were getting a little too close to her. It was some men starting to get in her face. So we went down. Some other guys and myself. We went down and got in the mix, and someone started pepper spraying and spraying bear spray. And she didn't have anything on her face. I had a shield. I still had that shield that still have the speckles of bear spray or pepper spray or whatever that was. I still have that mask, and I'm glad I listened to my mother that day because she told me wear that shield, and I'm glad I did because if I wouldn't, all this would have been gone. Anyway, they sprayed that young lady. They sprayed everybody, but she didn't have any covering on. But she was yelling because it was hurting, and there were people there prepared, for the protesters. There was somebody who's prepared to wash her face out, and they washed her face out, and she was, screaming because it was hurting. She got right back up, grabbed that bullhorn, and went right back out. I said, I see you, sister.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's self-determination. That's right
You
there.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, we need that.
Yes. Coochie
And I
chocolate.
did see that we were outnumbered, but we were there, hanging out.
But
Yeah.
what do we say? We say I may come as one, but I come as 10,000. You may see one, but we come as 10,000, and that's just real too. When you really believe in the spirit of all those who came from, because we're coming from a different place, and this time of the year especially, we reflect on all that has happened and all that is still to come. So we love that there is New Greenwood. We love that there's a celebration that is not focusing on just the past, but the future.
Right.
100 years later, and how Greenwood is still building.
Right.
And Wall Street has come. It reminds me of something else that is that I saw in the news here recently, and that is with Killer Mike and Jesse Williams, some star power around something called Black Greenwood. So they like, oh, you want to support Black? You want to buy Black? Here's your chance to really put your money where your mouth is, because we're still trying to rebuild some of the things that were lost in Black Wall Street. And some, I know there's how many banks that we lost. I mean, we lost a lot of banks too. So
schools,
there
were banks, schools, hospitals, homes. It weren't just businesses on Greenwood. Greenwood wasn't just a street, or it's still
blocks, 30 blocks. I can't remember, but
it's a district. There were a lot of homes on Greenwood, a lot of people's houses and people's lives and livelihoods were burned, shot, and bombed.
So this Black Greenwood website, I can't remember the exact one, but I know that there is some star power behind it, and they're talking about, but they use the word Greenwood, even though they're not based in Greenwood. How do you feel about that, calling it Bank Greenwood?
Well, I feel it's apropos. Greenwood was made famous just by being. Booker T. Washington deemed Greenwood Negro Wall Street, and Negro Wall Street later became Black Wall Street. But that's because of the economic boom and the way that people were living in various stages of prosperity in the Greenwood district. So Greenwood should be called Greenwood. Greenwood should be famous. So I have no problem with someone, paying homage to Bank Greenwood or giving credit to the people who built Greenwood, the people who made the thriving Greenwood district. So I have no problem with it.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to know how you were feeling about that, and Wow. I just feel that you're right. It is an honor just to be wanting to be associated with Greenwood, because I went
Right.
to Kwanzaa yesterday because I was, that you invited me to the virtual Kwanzaa. It was amazing. And it was based in Tulsa
Mhm.
Library. I was like, whoa, okay. Tulsa's future is bright. I mean, a lot of, I saw so much talent and so much, just a love for life. And I could see so much promise from your community. And I'm just grateful for that. And I'm just want to like have you really dissect all this term before we get in, really get into some normal things that we do just for
Mhm.
fun. But I want to have you take a spend about maybe a few minutes talking about reconciliation and what that means to you.
Mhm.
Can you define that word in your own terms,
Mhm.
reconciliation, and then maybe tell me, because I remember when I was asking you about being a guest on this show, you were like, well, a buzzword here in Tulsa or in Greenwood is reconciliation. So just first, what does it mean to you? And tell me more about why is it such a buzzword there?
Okay. Reconciliation for me means coming together, coming together and atoning for what was done, as well as forgiving for what was done, making amends for what was done, and being friends, being family, becoming one again, instead of those are those people who did this, and that was that person who did this. We want to reconcile. This is one community. Tulsa is one city, one community. We have to reconcile. We cannot continue to be separate, because usually when there's separation, there's inherently someone's going to feel better or worse, uh, upper or lower,
Okay.
majority or minority.
Right.
Yeah. So reconciliation for me just means coming together and rebuilding a relationship. Now it's kind of differs from the definition from the dictionary.com definition of reconciliation. And that's a little more that's a little less friendly for me. And I'm a wordsmith, so I think about words. Words do matter. And so I choose the definition of reconciliation for to come together in a friendly way, to come together and be amicable and of your own volition, not because you're being pressured to do it, not because, oh, let me go ahead and do this so we'll shut them up. No, we want people to come together because they want to come together and create a we, and everyone and us, a better community in Tulsa. Now you still have your families. When I say families, you still have your districts. You have your Greenwood district. You have Art district. You have Brady district. You have Gilcrease Hills. There are many different districts, but we're still one Tulsa, and we're still one Oklahoma. We're still one United States. We're still one world. But all of that starts with self, family, community, city, state, country, world, universe, everything, you know.
Yes.
So it's all relative.
It
So
is all relative.
we have it,
And we're
reconciliation.
all relatives, whether folks realize it or not, distant. Maybe
Right.
this is very far distant.
Mhm.
But
Very
we all,
Christian.
it's all relative when we realize we all, we really, we only got one world, one blood, one nation. But I really feel like we have to start with a reconciliation as a people, because we're still healing. And that's what Kwanzaa is, a healing tool.
Mm-hmm.
And when Bob Marley sings about it, that synonym for reconciliation is redemption. That's what comes up when you say it to me. When he says, oh, okay, so won't you help me sing right these songs of freedom? Because all I ever had, right, is redemption song. And he's
Mm-hmm.
talking about songs of freedom, but he's also talking about in those lyrics about how he talks about the history. The
Right.
part they come and robbed my, stole me, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
it's like then he gets into like how important it is that, like you said, to what does redemption look like, to
Mm-hmm.
examine it.
Right.
Because we could say I'm sorry, but what are you doing to make it better?
Right. And are you saying you're sorry because you're sorry because I told you to say I'm sorry? There's a
That
difference.
part. Yeah,
Mhm.
that part. And so many people want to be far removed from tragedies that happened yesterday.
Right.
But
Venus, do you know that it wasn't that the massacre wasn't taught in our schools?
no,
For
I didn't
me,
know that.
I didn't really. The only reason I heard about the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre was because my mother's friends with Eddie Faye Gates, and she was a historian, and she wrote about the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. And I was a teenager when I said, "This happened where? What? Well, hold on. What happened where?"
Yeah,
And I grew up in Vernon AME Church. Vernon AME Church is a church on Greenwood. It was one of the buildings that were burnt
yeah,
on Greenwood. It's one of the surviving buildings that was, and I grew up in that church, and I didn't know that rich history of Greenwood. I was hiding in some of the abandoned buildings that were there before they were renovated. I was there when nobody would, not just me, but we were there,
yeah.
going to church there when no one else was there, when other people wouldn't even come to that area, where they wouldn't even come downtown.
They wouldn't even come that way.
That
Yeah.
wouldn't even come across those tracks.
Have you
You
seen, but have you seen more? I don't know the racial makeup of Tulsa now.
hmm
Is it majority black or is it?
No, the makeup of Tulsa. I don't know the ratio, but it's a crazy ratio. It's far far more whites than there are blacks in
in,
Tulsa.
in Tulsa now? Okay. So
That's how.
I don't
Yeah,
know that. So that's interesting to me. But I know that they not. I'm hearing you on that it wasn't taught, but I do know that there was like a highway built, and that there was like trying to erase the history.
yeah.
Uh,
There were rezoning. They did rezoning during herbal renewal. They
yeah,
did zoning. They, eminent domain. They just took people's land and put an expressway
yeah,
right through,
right
right through the
through it.
whole.
So it makes it even more difficult to rebuild in that same area.
Right.
So yeah, it becomes that part. But I that's why going back to what they're doing with this new Black Greenwood is even more special, I guess, than for that reason. Because you
Yeah.
also virtual monuments to African in history, or and so that we can, if they don't put a certain, maybe they'll never put Harriet Tubman on, the bills,
Well,
but
we
people,
are
people
creating
are
all kinds
creating
of
things on their
different
own.
things.
I don't know if you saw that, like. So again,
Right.
why are we waiting? It's to your point. You don't always have to wait for somebody else to commemorate you and
Right.
make you
Right.
feel like you are part of this history. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm glad to hear that your idea of reconciliation is what's happening right now. And I don't know if you're seeing are you seeing a rise in allies though? Because this
Oh.
movement, though, Black Lives Matter this year went
hmm
to a whole nother level. You got to
Oh.
admit.
Oh yeah. It's been a
And
whole.
a lot of people that don't look like us are part of the movement.
Venus, there have always, well, almost always is an absolute. There have for a long time have been allies. There
Mhm.
have been allies who have died, who have been ostracized, who have killed for the cause, for the freedom of Black people, and
Yes.
for equal rights in general as well, not just for Black people, because
Human
some
rights in
people
general,
fight
love
for
it.
the rights of everybody.
I'm
But
all
yes, there have always been allies, and they cannot be they cannot be dismissed or discarded or
right. Their
not.
history can't be erased either.
Right.
And I sometimes think that sometimes their history is sometimes also erased, because then they have, those who are seeking to live an ethical life have some place to look to,
hmm
for encouragement. But you're right. We have to uphold everybody who's fighting a good fight.
Exactly. That's
and,
part
and,
of.
and that's why when I know you all are having a book release party. I know it's a little secret right now, but
Mhm.
I can't wait to see who all is in the room
It's gonna be nice.
and build together.
It's gonna be
I
nice.
want to have a seat at the table. So
Oh,
don't
you
blame me.
definitely do
I
that.
heard it's gonna be a passcode, but I
Yeah,
don't
so
blame me.
you can't tell anybody. And I know you love your fans. I know you love your viewers, your subscribers. I know you do,
Right.
Venus. Just a few. Maybe, you know what? For a few of them, maybe you can have a contest. Maybe you can have a contest, and you can divide the contest, and you can give a certain number of people the password to be your special guest.
Yeah. I mean, this is a centennial. I mean, how often
It's
do you
gonna
go
be big.
to a centennial celebration?
Yeah, it's gonna be
That is,
big.
I'm sure, going to be moving like no other.
Right. It
Yeah.
is. You know, people are gonna come. People are gonna come far and wide to see how community came together after 100 years of a massacre, after 100 years of being decimated, after did you know it wasn't just the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. It was Dust Bowls, it was World War One and Two, it was Depression. Greenwood it went through a whole lot of stuff, and people made it through a whole lot of trials and tribulations as a community. Now, after a while, that after urban renewal, the highway was that was the straw. But even after the massacre, a lot of families came back and rebuilt, despite not despite most of the claims, despite most of the insurance claims not being honored, despite some of the rezoning where you couldn't build your house in certain ways, or you couldn't build your business a certain way, or you had to build your business a certain way, which cost extra money. And you know, you talking about the people who are already disenfranchised, but Venus, they did it.
They did it. And building beyond the burning, I believe that's like a subtitle of the poem that I wrote.
Hey,
Building beyond the burning, because that's what I couldn't get past. It's like, where does this come from? Like this spirit that you just keep
yep.
building, you keep building, you keep building, no matter what they do, you keep building. And it just is a testament of the human spirit.
Mhm.
Uh,
That's what needs to be released.
especially,
That's the reason for the title. That's what needs to be released. Because if you can get so bogged down in the tragedy. You can get so bogged down in on May 31st, 1921, they bombed us, they killed us, they murdered us. You can get bombarded, no pun intended, with that, and you will forget about those principles that built Greenwood, those principles that rebuilt Greenwood. And that's part of, to wrap things back around, that's part of the reason for the book. Part of the reason for the anthology that you're a part of is to speak about those principles, to talk about those principles of community building. And one of the models for New Greenwood LLC, one of the models for the company is don't just feed them cake, teach them the recipe.
love it.
And in the book, because you can tell all that you need to get your stuff together. You need to you need to start working for the man and start your own business, be an entrepreneur. Okay, how?
Yeah,
Don't tell me that I need to go do this without giving me a blueprint. So
that
what?
that part, and that's where, and we're becoming elders now, Phetote. I know we look still kind of young. I mean, I know you.
You're still about 27.
I got some grades, but I'm just saying we're becoming elders. So it. I have to think about what was missing for me. What did I want my elder to do? So that's why I'm doing stuff like affirmation celebrations and trying to
Right.
get young people in the room to help them, so they can't say we're not reaching out,
Right.
and trying to be like I say in my affirmation, where you're helping that young woman or man. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what cooperative economics is all about. We all have to maybe reach out to nieces and nephews and say, hey, what are you studying? What do you like?
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you? Have you been going to the library? What do you know about this subject? Right. To make sure that they are on par, and making sure they have some economic economic skills, right? Like of knowing how to share bread, break bread, and make bread,
Yeah.
So
Indeed.
that's just real.
Yeah, it
Real
is.
talk. But let's talk about the reconciliation amongst us, though, because I hate to say it, but I still feel like we still not supporting each other
Yeah.
like we should,
Yeah.
on an economic level. And there used to be this idea of white man's ice is colder, but I still feel like sometimes we're still dealing with that mental slavery around that. This is another reason why Kwanzaa is so important, and this principle is
Right.
one of the key principles.
Right.
Some of us are still waiting to get permission to support if we see other people supporting that don't
Right.
look like them or whatever. At least that's been my experience. Yeah.
I can dig it. I can dig it. It has to be there has to be reconciliation with us. And part of the there has to be forgiveness and healing for us. We have to, I would say, we have to rebuild our relationship with us. We have to say you're you have a beautiful relationship. You have a beautiful marriage. Say there's someone has a bad relationship.
Yeah.
It's dysfunctional relationship. In
Yeah.
order for that relationship to thrive like it should be, and in order to fight the outside forces and the dragons that are outside your home, you have to heal what's in the home so you can fight better out there.
Mm.
And that comes with earning respect for each other,
Yeah.
showing respect for each other, because it's too easy for us to disrespect each other. It's too easy for us to call each other N words. It's too. We even had there are even some intellectuals who go on CNN and they will let you on CNN. They will let you on Fox News. They will let you on national television, telling the world that it's okay to call. We took that word and we flipped it. We took that word and it's a term of endearment. Now, as a wordsmith myself,
Come
I
on.
have to break down the word
Come on.
endearment. To endear something means to make loving or dear, and there's nothing loving or dear about that word.
Mm.
That is the worst, in my opinion, that's the worst word in human language history. But we
Okay.
call each other that. And we show so much lack of respect for each other. For instance, if there was someone else who said, hey man, we don't say that word, say another race or nationality or religion or whatever. I say, hey man, we don't say that word. It's disrespectful. Even if you say, well, I have friends who are blah blah blah, they have no mind, but no, I don't like it, and there are many of us don't like it, and it's disrespectful. We would say, most of us will say, oh, I apologize, much respect, I won't say it anymore, and we won't. But if a black person says, hey brother, sister, I don't use that word, it's disrespectful to me, don't call me that. Man, bump that, man, you a nigga just like me, just like them. We all nigga. Man, I ain't gonna stop saying
Yeah.
that. You don't stop saying it. And we continue to disrespectfully say it to each other. We
And
say
this is,
it.
yeah, no, that's real. It's just, I say it in one of my poems, it's more ammunition for the racists to use, but
Mhm.
I don't care about their views. So I flip it. So I'm like, but because at the same time, some of the racist people are going to believe whatever they believe. But if they're white supremacists, they're going to believe that they supreme regardless. So,
Mhm.
but I get your point completely. Is that because I want to do another project that I can't wait to have you be a part of too, called Healing Words. I really want
Sweet.
to create our own words too. I'm really in this movement of us being a little bit more innovative.
Mhm.
And going back to another principle of creativity, we're
Right.
creative people. Why are we hanging on the words? Well, we need not only need to be creating more words more often, but I feel like we should be just championing words of higher vibration. Uh,
Right.
what
You
the
have poetic license, you can do that.
huh?
So you have poetic license, you can do that.
All day. Well, we both do. But on that note, man, listen. You got me all up in this whirlwind of this chat that I forgot some of my normal things we're supposed to do. So let's go back
Okay.
and let me ask you, because you can't get away from show and tell. We still
Okay.
have time. Do you
Okay.
have a show and tell item that
Yes,
you
I do.
can share with me that's good for your soul, or
Hmm.
that's attached to something that a meaningful that you want to share with our audience? Who, because everybody watch this show, we all about what's good for the soul. So what you got? What you want to show and tell us?
Let me bring it up again because I want to make sure that I got this young man's name right. This is my show and tell though. If you can
Okay.
you see it?
Mhm.
And it's not the bracelet.
Which one is
The
it?
bracelet now the bracelet itself is signifies Greenwood. It was made by A. Renee. She's an artist, and this signifies the people of Greenwood, the black people of Greenwood. This, of course, the barrel is Greenwood, and this signifies the allies.
Oh,
And
wow.
so,
That's
but my show and tell is push, push, pray.
okay.
And push, push, pray is an organization that I was at. Let me tell you the story. I was at a drum festival here in Tulsa. We have a drum festival every year, and there are vendors at the drum festival. And there was a lady. There were in the booth. There were posters, and there were other paraphernalia. And there was this push, push, pray. And she was giving this because her son, who was an athlete, he suffered a severe spinal cord injury. And he was pushing through. He was pushing, there's a foundation also. You can go to pushpushpray.org if you want to, check out some of the wonderful work they do and to donate to spinal cord injury survivors, because it's like, obviously it's life changing.
Yeah.
And it changed my life to get this, because whenever I look at this, whenever I think about quitting, and I'm not a quitter, so if it gets to that point, it's some heavy stuff. Or if I get to the point where I get complacent, like thinking all right is all right, or if I'm thinking great is all right, because why should I think great is all right when there's excellence, So if I'm not striving for excellence, I'm reminded always of push, push, pray. Keep going, push, push.
Oh,
Push,
damn.
stop, don't stop. So I'm reminded.
I love that story.
Thank you.
love that story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great show and tell, because and then you wear it, you wear it every day, huh? Yeah, I have something in myself I can relate to. I remember getting this. It just it makes me feel stronger, just wearing that for similar reasons, because you gave it to me and why. But this is not about my story right now. But I got to tell you, listen, we have some soul chat questions that I like to ask. Okay. I got to ask you at least a couple. Is there an album or a TV show or a movie that you grew up that shaped your life? Like, that when you was growing up, it helped mold you into who you are. Or it could be a book. Got so many books behind you, man.
No, I don't want to disrespect any of my my favorite authors by leaving anybody out. A television show that really inspired me was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. When you're a child and you're listening to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, he's engaging on a child's level, but as an adult, if you go back and listen to some of the topics that he was spitting, that dude had a gift. He was amazing. He spoke on bullying. He spoke on divorce. He had he used to have his little puppet, and he was sad. The puppet was sad because he was thinking that his parents were getting a divorce because of him. Just those topics that he was, the topics that he was using. He was using his gift and creativity to slide those topics in, and I dig that.
Yeah,
we do the same thing with poetry. We wrap a word in poetry, but by the time we've captivated the audience, they've learned something. Without even know they've just been, they just learned something. We wrap it in entertainment, edutainment, some call it. But I dig Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh man, how excited I got. That documentary of his life, man, I have never cried that much in a movie theater. It was like so moving because he was like my first friend growing up too, and like my first, just like giving me like insights on things, like you said. Like that was just groundbreaking. Even like the segregation of pools. I remember him having a black dude come over and being in the pool, put in the same.
I'm gonna I got you. Let me put this water on your feet. I got you.
Yeah.
And he was also a preacher, so that was also significant.
Yeah, so it took it to another level. But he never was, never pushed his faith on people, but he walked it.
Right.
And when you look, you see it, he walked it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have to talk it. He was just like, you saw it in everything he was doing when you think about it. It was beautiful. So definitely one of my all-time favorite people as well. Yeah. And so and that's what we want to do, right? We want to have that kind of impact on everybody that crosses our path. That's goal. That's hashtag goals. So let's keep supporting each other. Let's keep being about that new Greenwood.
So be about this soulful journey.
Yes, and I'm excited to continue to build with you, my brother. You are amazing, and I'm just grateful that you came on the show. just it just came to me. I was like, oh man, I need somebody on the show who's gonna represent, this economics, this cooperative economics. I couldn't have asked for a better guest tonight. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for being here. And I like to, maybe give you chance to like maybe share one more piece if you like, or
I will.
have a little bit more
If
fun.
you don't mind.
No, I don't. Oh, can I ask you one more soul check question though? I'm
What's
pushing
that?
it. This one I know it feels a little morbid, but I ask it sometime and I haven't asked it in a while. What do you want on your tombstone?
Poet, etc.
Hey, okay, poet,
Because
etc. Why do you say that?
as a poet, I live poetically, and what I say, it's not just words. I see poetry in everything, and the muses, all of the muses are constantly talking to me, so I get inspired by everything. For instance, I'm looking at a chair. I get inspired by the beauty in the poetry and a chair being exactly what it was created to be. A tree is being exactly what it was created to be. A tree goes through so many moods, goes through so many changes. It goes through so many seasons, you know. And there's so many things in the world that I see, and I see the poetry in it. Not necessarily a poem, but I see the poetry in it, if it makes sense.
It does, because you have a lot of titles. I know you're a songwriter as well. You're a publisher. You're a teaching artist, a keynote speaker, part of the 100 Black Men. Hey,
Yeah. So artist.
is the key title on that needs to be known that was part of your legacy. Poet, etc. Everything else comes second, huh? Okay.
Because that's everything else.
I can dig it.
I can dig it.
What'd you
Everything else comes from that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a way of
What
life.
about you? What would be on yours?
Don't ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been asking people a whole bunch of questions. I've been asking people questions that I don't even know the answer to. That's why I'm getting inspiration from you all.
Mm-hmm. So what
I'm
would
getting
you think?
inspiration from you all. But no day like today, so I better figure it out just in case. Let me say, I would definitely want poet to be on mine too. Seriously, it has to be somewhere.
Yeah.
I probably would take a line from one of my poems, but one line that speaks is probably sheroes, because I am the author of sheroes, and it always had a triple meaning. So even as I rise and elevate and or transition to the next whatever is after this, I want people to believe that I rose in this life and the next. I know sheroes is gonna be somewhere on there.
I can dig it.
Yeah. So we give thanks, and I just think that there's so much to say, and I'm thinking about somebody who rose recently. I just give thanks for everybody, but
Yeah.
we've lost a lot of people. Lost a lot this year. So
We've lost a lot of people, and there's been some beautiful things that's been happening.
Yeah, at the same time.
Some beautiful things at the same time, some beautiful things, and those things have to be acknowledged. They have to be acknowledged. If we don't acknowledge those things, we'll go mad. We'll go mad in despair and depression when we don't, acknowledge the good things that are going. If we don't acknowledge the sunshine, when the sun is shining, then, that's a dark place that we want to be in. Not that dark is bad, but it's just a place that you don't want to be in.
And then for this to be such an interesting year and to have the Christmas star to happen on the winter solstice, I mean, it just reminded me that to keep the faith and that everything happens in divine time, because that only happens once every 800 years at that.
And we were here.
And we were here. We were chosen to be here in this time. So I give thanks. And oh wow, I had to have you back because we were. I wanted to do one more poem, but you know what? When if you all come to the affirmation celebration, maybe Phetote will be there. If he is not, one day I'm gonna have a all-star Soulful Journey guest open mic, and it is going to be spectacular. So I get that. So Well, thank you so much for just being you.
Thank you, Venus. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the soulful journey. I needed this conversation. I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you. And until next time, just you keep being you. And I'm gonna say, see you later for now.
Take care.
So that is it for this edition in this episode of Soulful Journey. I want you to remember to share, like, and subscribe if this message resonated with you. Make sure that you share it with someone, and just continue to live on principle, to continue to keep looking up and keep looking out. Because if you do, when you do, there is a lot less fear and there is a lot less doubt. I am Venus Jones, and until next time, keep your spirits high, and